The PS5 has an incredible library of games, but let's be honest, with all the hype around Spider-Man, God of War, and Horizon, some absolute gems are getting completely overlooked. While everyone's talking about the blockbusters, there are fantastic games sitting right there in the PlayStation Store that deserve way more attention than they're getting. So today, I'm highlighting 12 underrated PS5 games that absolutely flew under the radar, but are totally worth your time. Trust me, by the end of this video, your wishlist is going to be stacked. First up is Returnal, and I know what you're thinking, wait, isn't this game pretty well known? Here's the thing, despite critical acclaim, this hidden gem was overshadowed by its brutal difficulty reputation, which scared off way too many players. This is a roguelike where you play as an astronaut stuck in a time loop on an alien planet, and every death resets the world but advances the story. What makes it special? The adaptive triggers make each weapon feel completely different. The pistol has this satisfying click, while the shotgun has serious kickback. Plus, the 3D audio is insane. You'll hear enemies sneaking up behind you in ways that'll give you chills. Yes, it's challenging, but the story payoff and that just one more run addiction make it surprisingly addictive. The 60 FPS performance mode keeps everything buttery smooth even during the most chaotic bullet hell sequences. Kena, Bridge of Spirits looks like a Pixar movie you can play, and that's exactly why it deserves more attention. This indie title from a small studio punches way above its weight class. You play as a spirit guide helping corrupted souls find peace, accompanied by adorable creatures called the Rot. The game flew under the radar because it launched the same week as some major releases, but the art style is absolutely gorgeous with ray tracing that makes every forest scene pop. The combat feels like a mix of Zelda and Dark Souls, approachable but with real depth. Those haptic feedback moments when you're using your bow or staff, chef's kiss. It's only about 10 hours long, which some might see as a flaw, but honestly it's perfectly paced without any filler. Inscryption is absolutely bonkers, and I mean that in the best way possible. On the surface, it's a card-based puzzle game where you're trapped in a cabin playing against a mysterious dealer. But trust me, this game goes places you won't see coming. It's criminally underrated because it's hard to market without spoilers. The less you know going in, the better. The DualSense controller work here is subtle but brilliant. You'll feel every card placement, and the tension builds through the haptic feedback. What starts as a simple card game evolves into something completely different every few hours. Yes, the meta-narrative gets weird, but if you're into psychological horror that messes with your head, this overlooked gem will keep you thinking long after the credits roll. Sifu is a martial arts masterpiece that deserves way more love. You play as a kung fu student seeking revenge, but here's the twist. Every time you die, you age up, getting stronger but closer to permanent death. This game was overlooked by many because, let's face it, it's tough as nails. But the combat system is pure poetry in motion. The adaptive triggers give weight to every punch and block, and the haptic feedback makes you feel every impact. Running at 60 FPS, the combat feels incredibly responsive. The aging mechanic isn't just a gimmick, it completely changes how you approach each fight. Sure, you'll die a lot, but mastering that perfect kung fu flow is incredibly satisfying. It's like if John Wick was a martial arts movie. The Pathless is this zen-like adventure game that launched as a PS5 launch title, but got completely buried under all the next-gen hype. You play as a hunter with a magical bow, exploring a cursed island with your eagle companion. What makes it special is the movement system. Instead of traditional traversal, you shoot targets while running to maintain momentum and glide with your eagle. It sounds simple, but it creates this incredibly meditative flow state. The haptic feedback when you draw your bow and the way the controller vibrates as you soar through the air is genuinely magical. The boss battles are more like puzzles than fights, focusing on exploration and discovery rather than combat. It's overlooked because it's not your typical action game, but if you want something that's pure gaming zen, this is it. Chicory is hands down one of the most wholesome games on PS5, and it flew completely under the radar. You play as a dog who picks up a magic paintbrush and literally colors the world around you. Every surface you touch comes to life with color. This hidden gem tackles themes of anxiety, depression, and self-doubt in the most gentle, beautiful way possible. The DualSense implementation is perfect. You actually feel like you're painting with the adaptive triggers providing resistance as you color. It's surprisingly addictive trying to paint every single screen. The story deals with heavy topics, but it's wrapped in such a warm, encouraging package. Sure, it might look too cute for some, but don't let that fool you. This game has serious emotional depth. Okay, I know Ghost of Tsushima isn't exactly unknown, But hear me out. The director's cut with the Icky Island expansion is criminally underrated compared to the base game. The PS5 enhancements transform this from a great game into something truly special. The Japanese lip sync alone is worth the upgrade, but the haptic feedback during sword combat and the way the adaptive triggers handle your bow draw weight. It's like playing a completely different game. The 60 FPS performance mode makes those cinematic standoffs even more dramatic. Icky Island adds about 15 hours of content that dives deeper into Jin's past, and honestly some of the best character development is in this expansion. If you played the original on PS4 and haven't tried this version, you're missing out on the definitive samurai experience. It takes two one game of the year, so why is it on this list? Because despite the awards, way too many people still haven't played it, especially solo players who think they need a partner. Spoiler alert, you don't. Online co-op works perfectly. This is the most creative co-op game ever made. Every single level introduces completely new mechanics, from shrinking down to fix a broken relationship to literally becoming different genres of games. The DualSense features are used brilliantly. You'll feel everything from hammering nails to controlling different vehicles. What makes it special is how it never repeats itself. Just when you think you've seen everything, it throws another curveball. The story about divorce might seem heavy, but it's handled with humor and heart. If you've been sleeping on this because you don't have a regular co-op partner, stop making excuses. Deathloop is from the makers of Dishonored, but it got overshadowed by bigger releases and some initial technical hiccups that have long since been fixed. You play as an assassin stuck in a time loop, trying to kill 8 targets in a single day to break free. The genius is in how the loop works. It's not just a gimmick, it's the core mechanic. Every loop teaches you something new about the island, the targets, and how to manipulate the timeline. The DualSense work is fantastic, with each weapon having distinct trigger feels and haptic patterns. The invasion mechanic where other players can hunt you as Juliana adds this constant tension. Sure, the story can get a bit convoluted, but the moment-to-moment gameplay of planning the perfect loop is surprisingly addictive. It's like Groundhog Day meets Hitman, and it totally deserves more attention. Wait, another well-known game? Here's the thing, Rift Apart was praised for its technical achievements, but people aren't talking enough about how genuinely fun it is. This isn't just a tech demo, it's a fantastic game that shows what the PS5 can really do. The dimensional rifts aren't just pretty, they fundamentally change how you approach combat and exploration. Those instant loading times mean you're literally jumping between worlds mid-fight. The adaptive triggers make every weapon feel unique, from the burst fire's rapid clicks to the enforcer's heavy punch. The haptic feedback when you're sliding through dimensional rifts is incredible. Sure, it's relatively short at about 12 hours, but it's packed with creativity and never overstays its welcome. If you skipped it thinking it was just a showcase piece, you missed out on pure gaming joy. Disco Elysium is the smartest RPG ever made, and it's criminally overlooked on PS5. You play as a detective with amnesia trying to solve a murder case, but really, you're exploring philosophy, politics, and what it means to be human. This flew under the radar because it's all dialogue and no combat, which scares off action game fans. But the writing is absolutely phenomenal. Every conversation is like reading a great novel. The final cut adds full voice acting that brings the world to life. The loading times on PS5 are practically non-existent, which is huge for a game where you're constantly moving between areas and conversations. The controller haptics are subtle but effective, giving weight to important dialogue choices. Yes, it's wordy and complex, but if you want an RPG that actually respects your intelligence, this is essential. Outer Wilds is stuck in its own 22-minute time loop, and it's one of the most brilliant games ever made. You're an astronaut exploring a solar system that resets every 22 minutes as the sun goes supernova. This is the ultimate hidden gem because it's impossible to explain without spoiling the magic. The PS5 version adds haptic feedback that makes piloting your little spaceship feel amazing, and the 60 FPS mode keeps everything smooth even when planets are literally falling apart around you. Every loop teaches you something new about the cosmic mystery you're trying to solve. The emotional payoff when everything clicks is unlike anything else in gaming, the only flaw. Once you beat it, you can never experience it for the first time again. If you haven't played this yet, stop whatever you're doing and buy it right now. So there you have it, 12 absolutely incredible PS5 games that deserve way more love than they're getting. I guarantee at least 3 of these will end up in your top games of the year if you give them a shot. Which one are you most excited to try? Let me know in the comments below, and while you're there, tell me about your favorite underrated games that I might have missed. If this video helped you discover your next gaming obsession, smash that like button and subscribe for daily gaming content. Trust me, your backlog might hate you, but your gaming experience is about to get so much better. Until next time, keep gaming.